Marcus Johnson parked his black Tesla Model X in the private airport lot. The morning was clear and warm. Marcus smiled as he looked at the clear blue sky. Today was special. After working hard for 20 years, he was finally going to fly on his own private jet. At 42, Marcus had built next-gen solutions from nothing. His tech company was now worth over $2 billion. He had offices in 10 countries. But Marcus never forgot where he came from. He grew up in a small apartment with his mom who worked 2 jobs. He got into computers when a teacher gave him an old laptop in high school. "Good morning, Mr. Johnson," said Tanya, his assistant. She walked up with a coffee in her hand. "Your bags are already loaded. The jet is ready whenever you are." "Thanks, Tanya," Marcus said, taking the coffee. He wore simple clothes today. Jeans, a plain black t-shirt, and white sneakers. His business suit was packed for when he arrived in Chicago for the big meeting. Marcus walked across the tarmac toward the shining white Gulfstream G650. The sun made the jet glow. This was his jet. He had paid $60 million for it last month. Today was his first time using it. He couldn't help but feel proud. 2 staff members followed behind him with his last bag and some papers. As Marcus got closer to the plane, he saw the pilot standing by the steps. The man wore a crisp uniform with 4 gold stripes on each sleeve. His name tag said Captain Richard Wells. Marcus smiled and put his hand out for a handshake. "Good morning, Captain. Beautiful day for flying." Captain Wells did not smile back. He looked at Marcus with cold eyes. His face showed confusion and suspicion. "Can I help you?" Wells asked in a sharp voice. He did not shake Marcus's hand. "I'm your passenger for the Chicago flight," Marcus explained, still being friendly. "I'm ready whenever you are." The pilot looked Marcus up and down slowly. He stared at Marcus's casual clothes and sneakers. Then he shook his head. "I'm afraid there's been a mistake," Captain Wells said. "This is a private aircraft. The owner will be arriving shortly for the Chicago trip." Marcus felt his smile fade. "There's no mistake. I am the owner." Wells laughed a little. "Sir, I'm going to need you to step away from the aircraft. This is a restricted area." Marcus stood straight. He kept his voice calm. "I am Marcus Johnson, the owner of this jet. Check your flight plan. I'm your only passenger today." The pilot's face hardened. "Listen, I was told to expect Marcus Johnson, the tech CEO. Now please leave before I call security." Several ground crew members were now watching. Marcus felt the heat of embarrassment on his face. He had dealt with prejudice before, but not like this. Not at his own plane. "Let me show you my ID," Marcus said, reaching for his wallet. He pulled out his driver's license and his company ID. Wells barely looked at them. These could be fake. Anyone could make those. One of Marcus's staff stepped forward. "Sir, this is Marcus Johnson. He owns this aircraft." "I don't know who this man is," Wells said firmly, "but he's not getting on this plane. This is a $60 million aircraft, not a bus." The pilot pulled out his phone and pressed a button. "Security, we have an unauthorized person at Hangar 7 trying to board the Johnson aircraft." Marcus took a deep breath. He would not lose his temper. He had worked too hard to act unprofessionally, even when faced with such clear prejudice. "Fine," Marcus said calmly. He pulled out his own phone. "We'll see about this." As 2 security guards approached, Marcus dialed a number. This was supposed to be one of the best days of his life. Now it was turning into something very different. Marcus stood calmly with his phone to his ear while the security guards approached. His face showed no anger, but inside, he felt both hurt and frustrated. This was not how he planned to start his day. "Eleanor, this is Marcus Johnson," he said into the phone. Eleanor Patel was the chief operations officer at Skylight Aviation, the company that managed his jet and hired the pilots. "I'm at Hangar 7 with my new jet, and there seems to be a problem with your pilot, Captain Wells." The security guards reached Marcus. They were two tall men in blue uniforms. "Sir, we need you to step away from this aircraft," one guard said. Marcus held up one finger, asking for a moment. "Eleanor, your pilot has called security on me. He doesn't believe that I'm Marcus Johnson or that I own this plane." "Yes, I'm serious." Tanya, Marcus's assistant, stepped forward. "Gentlemen, there's been a mistake. This is Mr. Johnson. He owns this jet." The guards looked unsure now. They glanced at Captain Wells, who stood with his arms crossed. "That's right," Marcus said to Eleanor on the phone. "I showed him my ID, but he said it could be fake." Marcus listened for a moment, then said, "Thank you. I'll wait here." Marcus put his phone away and looked at the security guards. "Eleanor Pottle is coming here right now. She can clear this up." The guards stepped back, but stayed nearby. Captain Wells remained by the plane steps, looking annoyed. The next 10 minutes were tense. No one said much. Some airport workers whispered to each other while watching. Marcus checked his email on his phone, trying to look calm even though this delay might make him late for his meeting in Chicago. Then a black SUV pulled up fast. Eleanor Patel jumped out. She was a short woman in her 50s wearing a blue business suit. Her face was red with anger. She walked quickly to the group. "Mr. Johnson, I am so sorry about this," she said, shaking Marcus's hand firmly. "This is completely unacceptable." She turned to Captain Wells. Her voice was quiet but sharp. "Captain Wells, this is Marcus Johnson. He is the owner of this aircraft. He is your employer. And you have just refused him entry to his own property based on nothing but your prejudice." Wells's face turned white. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Then he started to speak. "I didn't, I thought." Eleanor held up her hand to stop him. "You're fired, effective immediately. Please leave the premises now. We'll send your final paycheck." Wells looked shocked. "But I've been with this company for 12 years. And in 12 seconds, you showed exactly who you are," Eleanor said. "Security will escort you to get your things." The same guards who had come for Marcus now stood on either side of Wells. The pilot's shoulders dropped. He looked at Marcus. "Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I could own a jet like this." Marcus finished for him. "That's exactly the problem." As Wells was led away, Eleanor turned back to Marcus. "We'll have a new pilot here within the hour. Captain Sarah Chin is one of our best. Again, I apologize for this terrible experience." Marcus nodded. "Thank you for handling it quickly." "We have zero tolerance for this behavior," Eleanor said. "Would you like to wait in the lounge while we prepare for your flight?" As they walked toward the lounge, Marcus's phone buzzed. It was a text from his business partner. "Everything ok? You'll make the meeting, right?" Marcus typed back. "Small delay. We'll explain later." In the private lounge, Marcus sat with a cup of coffee. The excitement of his first flight was gone. He thought about all the times people had judged him because of his skin color. From store clerks following him around to people assuming he was a worker instead of a boss, he had seen it all. But being denied entry to his own jet, that was a new one. His phone buzzed again with news that Captain Chen would arrive in 20 minutes. Marcus looked out the window at his beautiful jet sitting in the sunlight. It was still his big day, and he wouldn't let one man's prejudice ruin it. Less than 30 minutes later, a car pulled up to the hangar. A woman in a pilot's uniform stepped out. She was in her mid-30s with short black hair and a confident walk. She headed straight for the lounge where Marcus was waiting. "Mr. Johnson, I'm Captain Sarah Chen," she said, offering her hand. "I'm very sorry about what happened earlier. I'll be your pilot today to Chicago." Marcus shook her hand. "Thank you for coming on such short notice, Captain Chen." "It's my pleasure," she said. "Your jet is ready whenever you are. We should arrive in Chicago with plenty of time for your meeting." As they walked back to the plane, Eleanor joined them. "Mr. Johnson, I've spoken with our CEO. The company will be launching a full investigation into this incident. We're also planning to review our training procedures. Marcus nodded. Good. This wasn't just about me. If Wells treated me this way, I wonder how he's treated others. At the plane, the stairs were down and waiting. This time, when Marcus approached, he was met with respect. The flight attendant, Lisa, greeted him warmly at the door. Welcome aboard, Mr. Johnson. This is your first flight on this aircraft, correct? Yes, it is, Marcus said, stepping inside. The inside of the jet was beautiful. Soft leather seats, polished wood tables, and a plush carpet. Everything was top quality. Lisa showed him around, pointing out features of his new plane. The entertainment system is here. The private bedroom is in the back. The kitchen has all your requested items. And this button calls me if you need anything. Marcus took a seat by the window. He finally began to feel the excitement again. Captain Chen's voice came over the speaker. Mr. Johnson, we're ready for takeoff. Flight time to Chicago will be about 2 hours. The weather is clear all the way. As the jet taxied to the runway, Marcus looked out at the airport getting smaller. His phone buzzed with a text from Tanya. Everything okay now? Did they solve the problem? Marcus typed back, yes. Captain Wells was fired on the spot. Flying now with Captain Chen. She's great. The jet picked up speed and lifted into the air. Marcus felt the power of the engines pushing him back into his seat. Soon they were above the clouds, and the bright sun filled the cabin. Lisa brought him coffee and asked if he wanted breakfast. While eating, Marcus couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. He opened his laptop and began to type an email to his lawyer, James Wilson. He explained the whole situation in detail. I don't want to sue the aviation company, he wrote. They handled it well. But I'm thinking about something bigger. What if we created a foundation to address discrimination in the aviation industry? We could offer scholarships for black pilots and flight crew. We could fund training programs about bias. After sending the email, Marcus pulled out his notes for the Chicago meeting. He was presenting a new software that could help hospitals track patient care. It was a big deal that could save many lives. But his mind kept going back to the hangar. Captain Chen's voice came over the speaker again. Mr. Johnson, we're halfway to Chicago now. Everything is going smoothly. We'll begin our descent in about an hour. Marcus thanked her and went back to his notes. But then he set them aside and pulled out his phone. He opened social media and began to type. He rarely shared personal stories online, but this felt important. Today I was denied access to my own private jet, he began. The pilot didn't believe a black man in jeans and a t-shirt could own such a plane. As he wrote, Marcus realized this story wasn't just about him. It was about all the people who faced judgment based on how they looked. It was about who gets to belong in certain spaces. It was about assumptions and bias. By the time he finished writing his post, the plane was starting to descend toward Chicago. Marcus looked out at the city coming into view. He took a deep breath and pressed share. Marcus's plane landed smoothly in Chicago. As the jet taxied to the private terminal, he checked his phone. His social media post already had hundreds of comments and shares. People were angry about what happened to him. Many shared their own stories of being judged by how they looked. Mr. Johnson, we've arrived, Captain Chen said as she opened the cockpit door. Your car is waiting. I hope the rest of your day goes better than how it started. Thank you, Captain Chen, Marcus said with a smile. The flight was perfect. A black SUV was waiting on the tarmac. The driver, a man named Robert, greeted Marcus and took his bags. Welcome to Chicago, sir. We'll have you at your meeting in 20 minutes. In the car, Marcus changed into his business suit. He put on a blue tie that his mother had given him for his birthday. He thought about how proud she would be. She had worked so hard to give him a good life. As Robert drove, Marcus's phone rang. It was James Wilson, his lawyer. Marcus, I got your email, James said. I'm sorry that happened to you. I think your idea for a foundation is excellent. We should talk more when you're back. Thanks, James. I also posted about it online. It's getting a lot of attention." "That's good," James said. "People need to hear these stories." The car pulled up to a tall glass building in downtown Chicago. Marcus took a deep breath and got out. He was here to present his new medical software to Hope Hospital Group, one of the biggest hospital chains in the country. In the meeting room, 10 people sat around a large table. The CEO of Hope Hospital Group, Dr. Linda Carter, stood up when Marcus entered. "Mr. Johnson, welcome," she said. "We're excited to hear about your new software." Marcus shook her hand. "Thank you for having me." For the next hour, Marcus presented his software. It could track patient care better than anything else on the market. It could help doctors make faster decisions. It could save lives. Despite the rough morning, Marcus gave a perfect presentation. The hospital executives asked good questions, and Marcus had good answers. "Mr. Johnson, this is impressive," Dr. Carter said when he finished. "We'd like to move forward with a trial at 3 of our hospitals." This was a big win. Marcus smiled and shook hands with everyone. The meeting had gone even better than he hoped. Back in the car, heading to his hotel, Marcus checked his phone again. His post now had thousands of shares. News websites were asking to interview him. His company's public relations team had sent him 5 urgent messages. "This is getting big," he said to himself. At the hotel, the manager met Marcus in the lobby. "Mr. Johnson, we upgraded you to our best suite. If you need anything at all, please let me know personally." The suite was huge, with a view of Lake Michigan. Marcus took off his tie and sat down. His phone rang again. It was Eleanor Paddle from the aviation company. "Mr. Johnson, I saw your post," she said. "Our CEO would like to speak with you tomorrow if possible." "Of course," Marcus said. After the call, Marcus ordered room service and turned on the TV. He was surprised to see his own face on the screen. A news anchor was talking about his story. Tech billionaire Marcus Johnson was denied access to his own private jet this morning in what appears to be a case of racial profiling. Marcus turned up the volume. The news story included part of his social media post. The anchor continued, "The pilot has been fired, and the aviation company has issued an apology." Johnson, who is the founder and CEO of NextGen Solutions, has not made any additional statements. Marcus turned off the TV and walked to the window. The city lights sparkled below. His phone kept buzzing with messages and calls. What had started as a personal insult was becoming a national conversation. He looked at his reflection in the window. He was just a man who had worked hard and succeeded. But to some people, he would always be judged first by his skin color. Marcus decided that tomorrow he would have more to say. This was bigger than just one incident at an airport. The next morning, Marcus woke up early. His phone showed over 50 missed calls and hundreds of messages. His social media post now had more than 1 million shares. People all over the country were talking about what happened to him. Marcus ordered breakfast and opened his laptop. He had an email from Charles Wilson, the CEO of Skylight Aviation, the company that managed his jet. "Mr. Johnson, I want to personally apologize for yesterday's incident," the email said. "I would like to meet with you today to discuss how we can make this right and how we can do better in the future." Marcus replied that he would meet Charles at 2 p.m. at his hotel. Then he called Tanya, his assistant. "Tanya, I need you to set up a video call with our PR team in 1 hour. Also, can you check how many interview requests we've received?" "Good morning, Mr. Johnson," Tanya said. "I've counted 43 requests so far. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, and all the major networks want to talk to you. What do you want me to tell them?" "Tell them I'll do 1 interview. Let's go with Morning America tomorrow. They have the biggest audience." After his call with Tanya, Marcus showered and dressed. He wore a simple gray suit today. At 10 a.m., he joined the video call with his PR team. "Marcus, this is getting huge," said David, his head of public relations. "How do you want to handle it?" Marcus thought for a moment. I don't want this to be just about one bad pilot or one bad day. This happens to people all the time who don't have the platform I have. Let's use this moment to talk about something bigger. The team helped Marcus prepare for his TV interview and his meeting with Charles Wilson. By noon, Marcus felt ready. He had lunch in his room, looking over the notes they had prepared. At exactly 2 p.m., there was a knock on his door. Charles Wilson was a tall white man in his 60s. He looked nervous. "Mr. Johnson, thank you for meeting with me," Charles said, shaking Marcus's hand firmly. "First, I want to say how deeply sorry I am for what happened yesterday." "Thank you," Marcus said, showing Charles to the sitting area. "Please, have a seat." Charles sat down. "We've started a full review of our policies. Captain Wells's behavior was completely unacceptable. He had been with us for 12 years with no complaints. But that's no excuse." Marcus nodded. "I appreciate that. But I'm more interested in what happens next. How will you make sure this doesn't happen to someone else?" For the next hour, they talked about changes the company could make. Charles said they would improve their training and hire more diverse staff. He also offered Marcus a full refund on his contract. "I don't want a refund," Marcus said. "Instead, I'd like you to put that money towards scholarships for black students who want to become pilots. The real problem is that the aviation industry doesn't look like America. Less than 3% of commercial pilots are black." Charles looked surprised but then nodded. "That's a very good idea, Mr. Johnson. We can definitely do that." When Charles left, Marcus had another call with his lawyer, James. They talked about starting a foundation focused on diversity in aviation and tech. "We can announce it on Morning America tomorrow," James suggested. "I'll have the paperwork ready." That evening, Marcus had dinner with some business partners. Everyone had heard about what happened. They all wanted to know how he was doing. "I'm fine," Marcus told them. "Actually, I'm better than fine. Sometimes bad things lead to good changes." Back in his hotel room that night, Marcus called his mother. She was worried after seeing him on the news. "I'm okay, Mom," he assured her. "Remember how you always told me to stand up for what's right? That's what I'm doing." "I'm proud of you, son," she said. "Just be careful. Not everyone will like what you have to say." Marcus knew she was right. His inbox already had some angry messages from people who didn't believe his story or didn't think it was a big deal. But there were many more messages of support. He was ready for whatever came next. Before going to sleep, Marcus looked over his notes for the TV interview tomorrow. This was his chance to change the conversation. He wanted to make it count. The next morning, Marcus woke up at 5 a.m. His TV interview was scheduled for 7 a.m. He showered and put on his best suit, navy blue with a light blue shirt. He wanted to look professional but approachable. A car picked him up at 6:15 a.m. and took him to the TV studio. When he arrived, people recognized him right away. "Mr. Johnson, we're so glad you're here," said a young woman with a clipboard. "I'm Melissa. I'll take you to makeup and then to the set." In the makeup room, a stylist fixed his hair and put a little powder on his face for the bright lights. Marcus checked his notes one more time. He knew what he wanted to say. At exactly 7 a.m., Marcus sat across from Sarah Miller, the host of Morning America. The red light on the camera turned on. "Good morning, America," Sarah said with a bright smile. "Today we have a special guest, Marcus Johnson, founder and CEO of NextGen Solutions. Mr. Johnson, thank you for being here." "Thank you for having me, Sarah," Marcus said calmly. 2 days ago, you shared a post that has now been viewed by millions. You were denied access to your own private jet by a pilot who didn't believe you could be the owner. Can you tell us what happened?" Marcus told the story simply. He didn't sound angry. He just told the facts. How he arrived at the airport, how the pilot treated him, and how the company fired the pilot right away. "What went through your mind when the pilot called security on you?" Sarah asked. "Honestly, it wasn't the first time I've been judged because of how I look," Marcus said. but it was certainly the most dramatic. Here I was, being told I couldn't board a plane that I paid $60 million for. Sarah shook her head. How did that make you feel? At first, I felt angry and embarrassed, Marcus admitted. But quickly, I started thinking about all the people who face similar situations but don't have the power or platform to do anything about it. That's why I decided to share my story. The interview continued for 15 minutes. Marcus spoke about his meeting with the CEO of the aviation company. He explained his idea for the scholarships and his new foundation. We're calling it the Open Skies Initiative, Marcus explained. Our goal is to increase diversity in aviation and technology. We'll offer scholarships, mentoring, and job opportunities to young people from underrepresented groups. That's amazing, Sarah said. So you're turning this negative experience into something positive. Exactly, Marcus said. Sometimes it takes something dramatic to start an important conversation. We're launching the foundation with $10 million of my own money, and several companies have already contacted me about partnerships. As the interview ended, Sarah looked directly at the camera. For more information about the Open Skies Initiative, visit their website, which launches today. After the interview, Marcus's phone buzzed constantly with messages. His PR team reported that the website had crashed from too many visitors. Back at his hotel, Marcus had a video call with his company executives. The response is incredible, said Janet, his vice president. We've received offers of support from 3 major airlines and 2 tech companies. They all want to be part of the initiative. Marcus smiled. That's great news. Later that day, as Marcus prepared to fly back home on his jet, he received a special message. It was from a group of black pilots who called themselves the Red Tail Aviators, named after the famous Tuskegee Airmen from World War I. Mr. Johnson, we stand with you. What happened was wrong, but your response inspires us all. We would be honored to be part of your initiative and help mentor the next generation. Marcus felt a lump in his throat as he read the message. This was bigger than he expected. As he boarded his jet, Captain Chen greeted him with respect. Ready to head home, Mr. Johnson? Yes, Marcus said, feeling hopeful for the first time in days. I'm definitely ready. As the jet took off, Marcus looked out the window. The incident had been painful, but something good was coming from it. Sometimes, the worst moments lead to the greatest opportunities for change. 1 month had passed since the incident at the airport. Marcus sat in his office in New York, looking at a wall covered with letters. Thousands of people had written to him, sharing their own stories of discrimination. He had read every single one. Mr. Johnson, your 2 o'clock meeting is here, said his new assistant, Michael. Thank you. Please send them in, Marcus replied. The door opened, and 5 young people walked in. They were the first recipients of the Open Skies scholarships. 3 young women and 2 young men, all from different backgrounds, all with dreams of working in aviation. Welcome, Marcus said, standing up to shake their hands. Please, have a seat. The 5 students sat down, looking nervous but excited. Marcus smiled at them. First, I want to congratulate you all again. You were chosen from over 2,000 applicants. Your grades, your essays, and your passion for aviation impressed all of us. One of the young women, Tasha, spoke up. Mr. Johnson, we can't thank you enough for this opportunity. None of us could afford flight school without these scholarships. Marcus nodded. That's exactly why we created this program. Talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. We're changing that. For the next hour, Marcus talked with the students about their goals and dreams. They asked him questions about his career and about what happened that day at the airport. Did you ever hear from the pilot again? Asked James, one of the male students. Yes, actually, Marcus said. Captain Wells sent me a letter of apology. He said the incident made him rethink many things. He's now taking courses on bias and working with a community center in his town. After the meeting, Marcus walked the students to the elevator. Next week, you'll all begin your training. Captain Sarah Chen will be one of your instructors." The students looked excited. They had all heard about Captain Chen, who had flown Marcus that day and was now a key member of the Open Skies initiative. Back in his office, Marcus had a video call with Eleanor Paddle from the aviation company. "Our new training program is going well," Eleanor reported. "Every employee is taking it, from pilots to ground crew. And we've hired 15 new pilots from diverse backgrounds in the past month." "That's excellent news," Marcus said. "How about the mentorship program?" 20 senior pilots have signed up to be mentors. They'll each work with 2 students from your scholarship program. When the call ended, Marcus checked his calendar. He had a meeting with the mayor tomorrow. The city wanted to partner with the Open Skies initiative to create jobs in underserved areas. That evening, Marcus flew home on his private jet. He still used the same company to manage his plane, but now Captain Chen was his regular pilot. As he boarded, she greeted him with a smile. "Good evening, Mr. Johnson. How was your day?" "Productive," he said. "I met the scholarship students today. I'm looking forward to working with them next week," Captain Chen said. "It's an honor to be part of this program." During the flight, Marcus received an email that made him smile. A major airline had just announced a new diversity initiative inspired by his story. They were setting up their own scholarship program and changing their hiring practices. Looking out the window at the sunset, Marcus thought about how much had changed in 1 month. A terrible moment had turned into a movement. Companies were making real changes. Young people who never thought they could afford flight school were getting their chance. When the plane landed, a reporter was waiting at the airport. She had one question for Marcus. "Mr. Johnson, did you ever imagine your experience would lead to all this?" Marcus thought for a moment. "No," he said honestly. "But that's the thing about speaking up. You never know who's listening and how far your voice will travel." As he drove home, Marcus thought about his mother's words from long ago. "When life pushes you down, don't just get up. Build stairs for others to climb up to." That's exactly what he was doing now. 6 months after the airport incident, Marcus stood on a stage at a large aviation conference. Behind him was a banner that read Open Skies Initiative, 1-year anniversary. Though it had only been 6 months, they were celebrating early because of their amazing progress. "Thank you all for being here today," Marcus said into the microphone. 500 people sat in the audience. They were pilots, airline executives, students, and reporters. "When I started this journey, I never imagined we would come so far so quickly." Marcus looked out at the faces watching him. Many were young people from his scholarship program. In the front row sat the first 5 scholarship recipients. They were halfway through their training now. In just 6 months, the Open Skies Initiative has provided scholarships to 50 students. 10 major airlines have joined our effort. And most importantly, we're seeing real change in the industry. After his speech, Marcus invited a special guest to the stage. It was Captain Sarah Chen, who now served as the Director of Training for the Open Skies Initiative. "When I first met Mr. Johnson, it was under difficult circumstances," Captain Chen said. "But that day changed both our lives. Today, I'm proud to announce that our training program will expand to 5 more cities next year." The crowd clapped loudly. Marcus felt proud as he watched Captain Chen speak. She had become a powerful voice for change in the aviation world. After the conference, Marcus had lunch with the original 5 scholarship students. They had grown more confident in the past 6 months. Tasha, who had been so shy at their first meeting, now spoke with certainty about her future. "I'll finish my training in 8 more months," she said. 3 airlines have already contacted me about jobs after I graduate." "That's wonderful," Marcus said. "All of you are setting an example for the students who will come after you." Later that afternoon, Marcus visited a high school in a low-income area of the city. The school had a new aviation program funded by the Open Skies Initiative. 20 students were building a small airplane as part of their class project. "Mr. Johnson," the teacher called out when Marcus entered the room. "Class, look who's here." The students turned and stared. Many had pictures of Marcus on their classroom wall, right next to pictures of famous pilots and astronauts. "How's the plane coming along?" Marcus asked, walking over to see their work. "We're on schedule," a girl named Maya said proudly. "We should finish by the end of the school year." Marcus spent an hour with the students, answering their questions and looking at their work. These young people didn't see limits for themselves. They saw possibilities. That evening, Marcus attended a dinner hosted by the National Aviation Association. He was receiving their Agent of Change award. As he entered the ballroom, he was surprised to see a familiar face at one of the tables. It was Richard Wells, the pilot who had denied him access to his jet 6 months ago. Marcus walked over to him. Wells stood up, looking nervous. "Mr. Johnson," Wells said, extending his hand. "I wasn't sure if I should come tonight, but I wanted to see you receive this award." Marcus shook his hand. "I got your letter. I'm glad you came." "What I did was wrong," Wells said quietly. "I've been working hard to change. Your foundation gave me a second chance. I'm now teaching bias training for pilots." Marcus nodded. "That's good to hear." During dinner, Marcus was called to the stage to receive his award. Looking out at the audience, he saw the many faces of change. The students, Captain Chen, airline executives who had changed their policies, and yes, even Richard Wells. "6 months ago, I was denied access to my own jet," Marcus began. "Tonight, I stand before you not as someone who was wronged, but as someone who found a way to make things right. Not just for me, but for an entire industry." The room erupted in applause. As Marcus held his award, he thought about how far they had come. But he also knew they still had a long way to go. This was just the beginning. 1 year had passed since the day Marcus was denied access to his own jet. Today was a special day. It was graduation day for the first group of Open Skies Initiative students. Marcus sat on a stage at a small airport where the ceremony was taking place. Next to him were Captain Chen, Eleanor Patel, and other key people from the program. In front of them, 50 young people in pilot uniforms sat waiting for their certificates. "Today marks a new chapter in aviation history," Marcus said as he stood at the podium. "These 50 graduates represent the future. They come from all backgrounds. They faced many challenges, but today, they are pilots." The crowd cheered as Marcus called each student to the stage. Tasha, one of the original 5 students, was the top graduate in her class. When she received her certificate, she hugged Marcus tightly. "Thank you for changing my life," she whispered. After all 50 graduates had received their certificates, Marcus had a surprise announcement. "Today, I'm proud to share that the Open Skies Initiative has grown beyond what any of us imagined. 20 airlines have joined our program. 200 new students will start training next month. And we're expanding into aircraft mechanics, air traffic control, and aviation management." The crowd clapped loudly. Then Marcus smiled and said, "But I have one more surprise." He pointed to the sky. Everyone looked up. A formation of 5 small planes flew overhead, leaving trails of colored smoke: red, blue, green, yellow, and purple. "Those planes are being flown by our top 5 graduates," Marcus explained. "And today, they are the first members of the Open Skies flying team. They will travel to air shows around the country, inspiring young people to pursue careers in aviation." The planes did a perfect loop in the sky, then flew away. The crowd stood and cheered. After the ceremony, there was a party at a hangar that had been decorated for the occasion. Marcus walked around, talking with graduates and their families. Many parents cried as they thanked him for giving their children opportunities they never thought possible. Later, Marcus stepped outside for some quiet. He looked at the planes lined up on the tarmac. Each one had the Open Skies logo, the blue sky with no limits. Captain Chen joined him outside. "Quite a day," she said. "Yes," Marcus agreed. "Hard to believe it's only been a year." "You know what I realized," Captain Chen said. If Wells hadn't denied you access to your jet that day, none of this would have happened. Marcus nodded. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best changes. As they talked, a black car pulled up. A man got out. It was Richard Wells. He walked over to Marcus and Captain Chen. "I hope it's okay that I came," Wells said. "I wanted to see the graduation." "Of course," Marcus said. "How's the training program going?" "Good," Wells replied. "I've trained over 200 pilots now. It's been eye-opening." He paused. "I wanted to thank you, Mr. Johnson. Most people would have just gotten me fired and moved on. You turned it into something positive." Marcus shook his hand. "We all have more to learn, me included." The three of them walked back to the party together. Inside, someone called for Marcus to make a toast. He picked up a glass and looked around at the faces of the graduates, their families, and all the people who had helped make this day possible. "1 year ago, I was denied access to my own plane," Marcus began. "It was a small moment that revealed a big problem. But standing here today, I see the solution. All of you. Together, we're not just changing the face of aviation. We're changing its heart and soul." He raised his glass. "Here's to open skies and open minds." Everyone cheered and raised their glasses. As Marcus looked around the room, he saw Tasha talking with a young girl who was asking about becoming a pilot. He saw Captain Chen explaining the flying team to a group of excited teenagers. He saw Wells listening carefully to a black pilot sharing his experiences. This was the real victory, not just changing policies or creating programs, but changing people, one conversation at a time. What had started as a painful moment had become a powerful movement. And it was only just beginning.